what we can learn as intuitive empaths from the culture of Romany Gypsies back in the day when they performed love spells in order to manifest love in their relationship. Hi, my name is Leah Chantel, and today I'm talking about gypsy magic and how love spells came about back in the day. It's a very interesting history, and today people are kind of, suspicious of love spells. They think they don't work. But when you understand the history of them, you understand how they set their intention in order to manifest love in your life. And when you perform rituals like this with the right intention and in the right way, they can really help you manifest more love in your life. When people are married over a long period of time, sometimes they forget the reasons why they committed in the first place. They commit to other priorities, and they have activities and interests that lie outside the marriage where they're getting a lot of validation, and the marriage kind of drifts apart. And when you're in those situations where you know you're in a committed relationship and you need to get back into it, doing something like a love spell to set that intention in your life to continuously manifest love from your partner and create a loving relationship can be an amazing thing to do that can really enhance your relationship. And back in the day when Romany Gypsies performed these rituals, they actually had arranged marriages. So their parents or their community would pick their partners for them. And the younger generation would learn to accept these marriages by performing love spells so that they would learn to love and accept their partner that they had to marry. And so the love spell was done after their committed relationship was created by their community. And they just wanted to create the feeling of love and romance. And those concepts of love and romance that are coming up this Valentine's Day really come from the Romany Gypsies, except what we don't know was that back in their time, they were celebrating love that was already certain. It was already created by their community. And so the way we manifest love nowadays, in an age where information travels quickly and not everybody wants a committed relationship, and we don't necessarily know what the standards and expectations of the other person can be because we're exposed to such a big community. Sometimes doing a very straightforward love spell with the person's name carved into a rock or a candle doesn't fully work the way that we expect it to because the other person has free will choice. And by choosing to obsess with somebody who hasn't fully committed to us can actually be counterproductive. It worked for the Romany Gypsies because their community set the expectation and standards of commitment. But now that those standards are no longer prevalent in our society and everybody has different concepts of what a happy relationship looks like, different levels of commitment. Do you want to get married or do you not want to get married? Do you just want to hook up and all these things? If you're investing a lot of energy into a love spell, what could happen is you become very disappointed because the other person could have different standards and expectations than you do. And that's why the process of getting to know somebody and understanding their standards and their expectations can be so critical when you're manifesting love in today's age. But what can we learn from Romany Gypsies? So when you're already in a committed relationship, finding ways to continuously manifest love for that person can be a helpful tool because sometimes people grow apart in their relationships. They become more engaged in their lives with their children, or maybe it's with their work, and they just kind of forget to prioritize that primary romantic relationship. When those priorities slip, sometimes doing something like a love ritual or love spell could be very helpful because it could be as simple as pouring a bubble bath and putting some honey and some basil and cinnamon in it, or whatever you like that you enjoy smelling, and just relaxing in the hot water and remembering why you picked that person or why you're in love with that person could be very, very helpful. But it's not helpful when the relationship hasn't been defined If you're not married and you want to get married and you're kind of waiting for that, maybe investing a lot of time and energy pouring it into love spells for a particular person that you're waiting for could come across as kind of obsessive and clingy because the relationship hasn't matured yet to that level where the person deserves that level of energy flowing in terms of your commitment and your love, right? That's why we need to take time to get to know people. I believe actually 3 years is not an unreasonable window of time actually to get to know somebody before you decide to move in or decide to marry a person. Just because we come from a global society, our information flies at a blink of an eye, and you just never know what kind of information or content somebody has consumed. It doesn't necessarily make them a bad person, but what it does mean is that you need to really take time to get to know people, to make sure that they're the right person for you. And before you pour a lot of time and energy into a love spell for that person, it's like you want them to be engaged with you and to have that same intensity of love coming back to you before you jump in and pour in a lot for them. Because as intuitive empaths, we can kind of do that on autopilot automatically and pour a lot of energy into people that we think that we love, but we're really projecting and idealizing our fantasies on them, and they may not be that person that we project them to be. And that's why discernment and really seeing people for who they are can be such important tools in our toolkit, as well as creating the rituals of love and pouring energy and love into people. When the love is mature and the person is ready to receive it, it can be an amazing, beautiful thing. But if we pour that love and energy prematurely into that person, and we're doing it with kind of a secret agenda, hoping we're going to get married or hoping we're going to be able to split bills and live with the other person, it doesn't work very well. What you could do instead, now if you're a single person, what you could do instead of pouring a lot of energy into a particular person, you could look at the Romany spells and instead just write soulmate into the candle. Write soulmate on the rock that you pick and paint and decorate for that love spell. And pour your time and energy into the general idea that your soulmate is out there and you will find them, but you're not attached to it being a particular person. You're not getting caught on a hook somewhere where you expect that person is going to be your soulmate, but you are open to the universe giving you a soulmate. And you're open to one showing up in whichever place you're guided to go to. And you have no attachment to who that person is. And pretty spontaneously, they will show up randomly in your life. And when it's its appropriate time and appropriate place, then you can pour that loving energy, that ritual, that love spell into the other person. But you want to be discerning and you want to take your time getting to know them before you jump into that ritual and that time and that investment that you're putting in there. I think that's the difference between the era we're living in now versus the era we lived in back when there were Romany gypsies doing these spells and traveling Europe. We don't have arranged marriages anymore. Our relationships are not that certain. And even if you are lucky enough to get married, some people, their marriages really don't last and they end up in divorce for whatever reason. So even if you get that far, it's not a guarantee you'll get to the end of your life and still be in a loving marriage. So many things can happen along the way. Having said that, if somebody committed to you once and really wanted to marry you at one time, I think it's usually a safe bet unless you've really made a critical mistake and picked the wrong person to marry, which is a tragic mistake in life. You can pour your love and energy and do love rituals for the other person in order to create that energy and that vibration of love in your marriage in order to stay together. And that can be a very helpful and useful thing. And that can be as simple as taking time for a walk on a day that's quiet and focusing your love and attention on a little bracelet or a little key that you're holding that represents your love for that person. Or you could be inside, relaxing, lighting a candle, and carving your initials into a pink candle for your self-love, for yourself, or for your partner if you really, really love them and you've been in a committed relationship for a while that's been good. And also, if you're living with them, you may want to just let them know if you're doing things like that so they don't find your things randomly and feel a little freaked out by it. Yeah, it's a good thing to communicate what you're doing. And help them understand the history and the context of why you're doing this and how you're receiving a lot from your self-care and self-love rituals and how you're pulling them in on it. I think all romantic love really comes from loving yourself first and being very connected with yourself. And when you've got that strong, loving connection for yourself and you feel your own self-worth, that's when you're truly open to creating true romance and love in your life. And it may not look like a Hallmark movie. It may look a little bit different, the real loves of your life. Having said that, it doesn't mean it's not real and it's not valid. And you can enjoy life and get the love that you deserve, but you need to frame it in the right context and see things how they are along the different steps of the evolution of your relationship. And you can't skip steps. You can't project and idealize and assume somebody you just met is going to be the person that you marry. You might know, but you don't really know 100% until you're there and you're married on your wedding day. So I hope you enjoyed my video about love and love spells and romance and the development of relationships and how they're different nowadays from back when people had arranged marriages. If you have any tips or advice on what you're doing for Valentine's Day for self-love or romantic love, you can leave them in the comments below. I'd be really curious to learn more about that and see what people are doing. I hope you're all having an amazing Valentine's week and take care, everybody. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you want to see more love from me. Okay.